Hey everybody, so we are going to be talking about developing your ideas for your illustration example essay. If you remember from class, I told you that it's all about the examples and the evidence that you use that really makes an impact on this illustration example essay. So if you're finding that as you're writing your essay is still a little bit short, trying to figure out how you develop your examples, talking about the difference between showing and telling, understanding what those are, this is the presentation to check out. So we've got some reminders that we've discussed before that I kind of want to just go over really quickly. One of those is just the general assignment requirements reminder. You can also find the assignment requirements information listed in the weekly modules under week 1, right away, because we talked about those first day. So you want to remember that your essay needs to be at least 2 pages in length, and that's 2 full pages, 2 or more. Okay, you don't want to be a page and 3/4. You don't want to be a page and most of the second page. You want it to be 2 pages or more. Okay. The other thing that you want to remember: no outside sources. There should be not a single outside source in this particular essay. This needs to all come from your mind because a lot of it's relying on sensory details. Okay. For this essay too, you want to have at least 2 body paragraphs. So you want to have 4 paragraphs in total. Your introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2. If you want a third body paragraph, that's okay. But for 2 pages, really you only need 2 body paragraphs if you're developing your evidence sufficiently. And then a conclusion. And then remember to follow MLA formatting for papers. So you can either view a document that talks about formatting your paper in MLA and term materials. You can find that in, go to term materials, tips and tricks for our course, writing tips, or you can view the formatting of paper in MLA on this YouTube channel. Just search for my name and it'll pop up. Okay, so you can just view every video that I have there. So, just those are the assignment requirements reminders for this particular essay. Now let's go over some introduction stuff real quick. There's a video on introduction, so if this is very basic for you, you need a little bit more in-depth information, go and review that introductions presentation video that I have posted on YouTube as well and linked through Blackboard. So you want to remember to begin with something to get the reader interested. Tell them why they want to read the rest of this paper. Okay? Give the reader necessary context, define any terms that you might need to define, and then give them information that they need to be able to understand the things that you're talking about in your essay. And then you want to end your introductory paragraph with a thesis statement. Your thesis statement should be the last sentence in your introduction to make it easy for your reader to find, and also because that'll be the thing that sticks in your reader's mind, right? That last thing that you tell them in the intro is going to be what sticks. So make sure that that's the thesis statement and that it's clearly worded. Now, as far as thesis statements go, they have to include a couple of things. So they have to include a statement of purpose, which is the topic and position on the topic, and your forecast elements. There should be 1 for each body paragraph. So if you're still having a hard time formatting your thesis statement, you can totally use this as a guideline, right? Statement of purpose, because, forecast element 1, forecast element 2, and if you're creating 3 body paragraphs, forecast element 3. Okay. An example thesis statement then would be: reading is an excellent hobby that aids in stress relief because it calms the body and the mind, right? So we know that calms the body is 1 forecast element, calms the mind is the 2nd forecast element, and the overall purpose of the paper is for you to talk about how reading is an excellent hobby that aids in stress relief. Okay, this particular example is going to contain 2 body paragraphs because there's 2 forecast elements. Okay, so that's my brief overview of thesis statements. So let's move on to the next thing, right? Developing those body paragraphs. This is really what I want to focus on in this presentation because this is something that people tend to have the most trouble with, right? You can get your ideas down, but it's not necessarily enough information to develop into something that is engaging for the reader and something that's got enough information to carry you through the 2-page requirement. So how do we develop those body paragraphs? Well, you want to make sure that you develop your ideas clearly. Easier said than done, right? But how do we do this? So we've got that thesis from the last slide, right? Reading is an excellent hobby that aids in stress relief because it calms the body and the mind. So the topic sentence for 1 of your body paragraphs would be: reading is an excellent hobby for stress relief because it calms the body. If you want to use the information straight from your thesis statement and just sort of link your statement of purpose to that forecast element that you're working with in that paragraph, that works perfectly. Okay, even if it seems repetitive that your topic sentences are statement of purpose plus forecast element, that's okay. All right, so remember that you all have an entire paragraph in between the first topic sentence and the second, or first, second, and then third. So your reader's not going to feel like they're hearing the same information again and again. They're going to be like, oh, okay, this is good. I'm hearing again what the purpose of the essay is, and then I'm hearing what this particular paragraph is going to be discussing, right? So the topic sentence, reading is an excellent hobby for stress relief because it calms the body. Boom. That's this paragraph. That's what this entire paragraph is going to be about. So we've got, for the rest of the information in that paragraph, after a long day at work, it's nice to come home to light a relaxing lavender-scented candle and curl up in a comfortable chair with a book. While the body is still buzzing from the day, sitting still to read, breathing in the relaxing scent of the candle, and reading a favorite book removes focus from the hardships of the day and turns that focus to the content of the book. As the body sinks into that cozy chair, it no longer needs to flex muscles or transition between tasks that require different muscle groups. This comfortable nest that the reader finds themselves cuddling into, inhaling the relaxingly calm lavender scent while reading their favorite book, allows their body to unwind. As the reader progresses throughout that favorite book, they can feel the stress from the day slip away from the body, right? So we kind of see some sensory details in there. We see information about, the setting. How have you, as an individual, right? Because I'm writing this as myself, but I'm making it universal. So I come home after a long day at work, cuddle up, read a book, and this is how I do it, right? But you frame it in a way that anybody could do this, right? A person comes home, they're reading a book, they're cozy in this chair, they're smelling this candle, they're just relaxing their body, okay? Because that's what this paragraph is about. It's about calming the body. Okay, so we've got that information in the body paragraph there. And then our transition sentence into our next paragraph is going to kind of take that content from calming the body and help the reader recognize that calming the mind is coming next. Okay, so that transition sentence could be nestling in a comfortable chair, focusing on an interesting book, gives the reader something to think about other than the aches and pains of the body, consciously calming the body and the mind. That's where we bring in the mind, letting the stress of the day slip away. So that when the reader sees the next topic sentence, which could very well be reading is an excellent hobby for stress relief because it calms the mind, they go, okay, we just talked about calming the body, now we're talking about calming the mind, and we've got that link in the last sentence of your body paragraph. Now, the one thing I want you to keep in mind is that even though I've got it listed in bullet points on this slide, this is going to be one paragraph. So you're going to have an indentation, and that indentation is then going to, it's going to be the 0.5 inches that we have to do for each paragraph, and then it's going to start topic sentence. There's no break before the rest of the information for the paragraph comes in. It's just, you end the sentence with a period, make a space, start the next bit of information. I just have it broken up here so that you can see the different parts. Okay, so topic sentence, like the meat and potatoes of the paragraph, and then the transition sentence are all in one paragraph. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that formatting. Okay, but you can see how everything in this paragraph is working to develop how it calms the body, how reading calms the body. There is not a single sentence in here that doesn't expound upon that idea. So you want to make sure that in your essay you do the same thing. You keep your focus on what your topic sentence is telling your reader you're going to be doing. So some tips to develop your body paragraph. Give the reader sensory details. So from the last slide, the sensory details from the examples comes from the lavender candle, from the comfortable chair, right? This information kind of sets the scene for the reader, lets them know, okay, so this is what's calming the body in, as well as the book. So not only is it the book, but it's this whole ambiance that gets set up as you read. Okay, and then you show the reader why you feel the way you feel. Don't just tell the reader that it's cozy and comfortable and then you're done. No, you have to show why. So what is that difference between showing and telling? Well, telling is too easy, right? We can tell people anything, but they don't have to believe it. You have to show them so that they can recognize that this is something that's real, something that they can feel, something that's tangible. Okay, so when you think of telling, think of it like your topic sentence, right? Reading is an excellent hobby for stress relief because it calms the body. Cool, it calms the body. That's great. But your reader's going to say, okay, how does it calm the body, right? Why? Why does it do that? Well, telling is that main idea, but showing helps explain why it does that in clear detail. So showing means that you want to explain why you feel the way you feel in explicit detail. Okay? The details here are what matters. Without showing, your reader won't be convinced of anything that you're trying to say. You want to clearly show the reader why. Okay, if your reader can still ask why or how, you haven't shown enough. So as you're reading through, put yourself in the position of your reader. You know what's happening in your head, but us as readers don't. So make sure that you're telling us, okay, so this is the thing that I'm trying to prove here. And the evidence that I'm going to use to prove it are these pieces of evidence. And show us why, how. Keep asking yourself these questions until you've exhausted each of those questions. Okay, until you look at it and you say, okay, I've shown the reader every step I can show. Okay, every step meaning, okay, so I think this thing because of this, and I feel this way about this thing that I've now just said because of this, right? And just sort of develop it. Think of it like a ladder, okay? Make sure that you give the reader enough information, that you've shown the reader enough information so that they don't need to ask questions of you, because your reader writing or reading your paper can't ask you a question. They can't just look up from the paper and say, oh, why did you feel like that? No, they can't ask that. So you need to make sure that you've explained well enough, that you have shown well enough why you feel the way that you feel and how it is that you feel that way. Okay, so the biggest thing to keep in mind with your paragraphs is to be sure to keep framing the details of your paragraph through the point of your essay and through the point of that particular paragraph. Okay, so in the example, it's that reading is a stress-relieving hobby. Okay, that's what the overall essay is trying to prove. So every sentence in your essay, in total, should be relating to showing how the reader is a stress-relieving hobby. Unless it's those topic sentences, in which case you tell us, right? You tell the reader and then you show, okay? Make sure that you focus on being able to understand the difference between showing and telling. If you're still feeling unclear about that, review the last bit of information from the last slide. Okay, but make sure that you've got enough detail that you can really convince the reader, because without convincing them, you haven't fulfilled your purpose as a writer. Okay, so I want to give you a few reminders about your conclusion. Use the information from your introduction as a guide, right? If you've provided some context in the intro, that's great. Consider providing more context of that same kind of idea, just little snippets, some reminders in your conclusion. Restate the important information from the thesis, right? Remind the reader what that statement of purpose is and each of your forecast elements. And then restate and rephrase some of the information discussed within your essay. Remind the reader what we've just read. Because if you finish writing your essay and your reader finishes reading your essay and we go, oh, what in the world did they just talk about, right? Then you as a writer have not done enough, right? We need to show, we need to tell, show, and then provide reminders. Okay, so we want to make sure that all of those things happen. Okay, so those are the big things that I wanted to talk about. If you're still feeling unclear about the introduction, about the formatting, about how to kind of position things within your essay, or about the conclusion, take a look back at the previous videos that I've posted. Those should kind of help you answer any questions. If you still have questions, please feel free to reach out by email. I'm happy to help. Just give me specific questions and I can work with you and kind of help you through understanding. All right, so until next time, folks, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Do great things, and I will talk to you soon.